And I am live. Yes. Hello. Welcome to my little corner of the internet. I have to, yes, that is okay. I had a little camera trouble just now. There he is. Oh, look, World of Warcraft. Yes, that's for Sunday. Good. Welcome everybody. I'll start with my famous, especially around here, hydrate. Good. Worms, troglodytes, and now I have to, I know it's a sylph, glitterwing. This little lady I am also painting, or at least giving some color. As for Goblin Inspiration, the monthly challenge, I try to do something for every month. Didn't do it last month as I had a little bit of too much other things to do. But I started last Saturday. Yes, Saturday, because I didn't stream. Friday I overslept. I am painting some worms in different kind of colors. And this is my whoops, there he is, my stone worm, all gray. I have an earthworm that is inspired on a color palette that Viking Pie chose for one of. I have another one that looks almost the same but not quite. And of course I thought, hey, why not a small purple worm with a little bit of pink. And in chat somebody said, why not a yeah, let's call it a frost worm. It's not an Arctic worm, so it is grayish, but you could, it's more blue gray than normal gray. And I'm going to start with this one. All the other ones do get, and they have all kinds of spikes and spines sticking out, and their teeth. Those are going to be bone colored. Only the Arctic one just gets more icy blue spikes. So this is sky blue from scale color. Here's the little dot. Need another really big brush. Now I do notice my camera is also a little bit off. One moment. Oh, that's a little bit too. There we are. A little bit higher. Dice in the middle. I still haven't put back my target for where I have to aim my model. But I do have another background now. Maybe I can figure something out over there. Why not? Let's try that one. If I'm over there, it is good. So the teeth I will, by the way, not do icy blue. Only the spines. And it's, by the way, quite hot in the Netherlands. Oh well, 30 degrees. It's going to be tomorrow. I have a fan on. I hope it's not too... I hope you cannot hear it, or at least not very loud. Or it's not very loud, or you cannot hear it very well. Or however you want to put it. If it is bothering you, just tell me. I will survive without it. And I will be streaming tomorrow evening, right after Muse's Touch, of course. I only hope, probably I can filter out the noise, but we have a carnival in town. At least in American way it would be called a carnival. We call it kermis. And I'm probably off screen, yes. And if the wind is a little bit coming from the wrong side of town, blowing this way, we can probably hear all the music. It's, by the way, one of the things that as a child, I liked. Carnivals, all the attractions, all the rides, the things. But when I got older, it's... I also saw a little bit, it was more for the grown-ups, to a good reason to get drunk and to get silly. Not my way. It's always a little bit too crowded for me as a child. It never bothered me. Probably when I got older, I got a little bit more aware of my surroundings, and that kind of big crowds. You know, I live in a very small village, so big is quite relative. Really. Now, I was trying to find a better place for my mobile, because right now my camera is over there, and my chat is right over there. So that's a little bit of a problem with my new setup. You know, I had the idea to put my phone next to the camera, so it would at least I would have to look over there. I could do it, but then I have a problem reaching some paints. Not I probably will need them, especially right now. I already have my paints sorted out. As I said, it's going to be it's a long weekend for me. 2 whole days free. Yes, that is a long weekend. That's why I'm going to stream Sunday with World of Warcraft. And to be honest, as it is going to be quite warm, I am not sure. I always hope to get some painting done on a Saturday. Well, in the morning it will not be a big problem. But in the evening, well, we will see. I will stream, I will paint. I'm not really sure what I'm going to paint yet for tomorrow. Well, probably a monster or a bust. Oh man, I really needed a little bit of coffee. It's a long day for me. It's now 8 o'clock, well, past 8 o'clock. And I am up since 3 o'clock. And yes, I had to get up at that time for my little bit of new work. It's the same company, but something else to do. Oh, the little thing that I did with the one I painted brown. As you can see with these two, I already started a little bit of the North Bow on this one, but it's not a very dark color. That's why I do not make, and this is gray, but the brown is quite dark, so I painted these ones white first, so the North Bow will show up a little bit better. And if anybody in chat has something to share about plans for this weekend, doesn't have to be mini painting. One thing I have promised myself, I have said to myself, I do have to get out a little bit more of the house. I'm not really an outdoor guy, but if I do not get out enough, I also get not enough done for painting. And a little bit of fresh air is, of course, always needed, even though if you have people who say, no, we don't like the outdoors, well, to be honest, outdoors, I love nature, but all nature here comes also with people. And, I'm a little bit of shy guy. Always have feel socially awkward, so I'm not really fond of meeting lots of people. And 2 people are for me already a lot. But I have decided that at least I will go for a few bike rides Sunday and Saturday, as it is too nice of weather to stay indoors. Maybe I will even get a little bit of a tan. Who knows? The only thing that I need to do with this one, which I have already done with the others, is the maw, or the mouth. But I saw I had left it black, so I had to, let's see, is it already? It's already dry, of course. And I'm very frequently indeed brushing this, licking this brush, as it probably had some paint has gone in the ferrule, and it's the hairs are getting a little bit apart. Yes, I have great stuff to clean it, but don't use it enough. I was going for, let's see, the Fire Giant Orange. Go a little bit higher over there. Speed paint. It's my favorite color since I bought it for and tried it out for insides of Monster Maws. Monster Maws. I have seen put somebody it on their wet pellets. Somehow I have something like, why should I put it on a wet pellet? By the way, and because you don't put inks on a wet pellet, or washes, whatever you want to call them. And yeah, this is for me also some kind of ink, so I'm a little bit reluctant to put it on my wet palette. Somehow, never tried it, and maybe in the future I will. But as long as I also have a small weld pallet at hand, why not just put it into the weld pallet? I'll take a slightly larger brush. No, not that one. Expensive one. Here we have it. The Citadel brush is not so expensive. Right. I need one coat. I'm going a little bit over the teeth. But I will give them those another coat of Nord bone in a moment when this is dry. I must, by the way, say with speed paints you also have the advantage, I noticed, if you don't clean them good enough, you will taste it. If I have cleaned them, it's not as much as an icky taste. So I have always cleaned my acrylics better than the speed paints. I don't know. In this case, because everything is going to be bone. I'm going to paint everything, including teeth, not bone. Not bone is almost the same color as skeleton bone. Just a little bit darker. You could almost say it is a shade color of skeleton bone, but a very slightly shaded color. Thinner. Oh, there we go again. Too thin. By the way, seen a video of Lila Meth, the mini witch, I believe this morning even, at breakfast at 3 AM. She was talking about some things that you could do to improve certain things with painting, especially also with wet palettes that you have to, well, it's certainly not strange to clean them out once in a while, especially if you do not paint on a daily or weekly basis. And if you do not paint daily but almost every other day, I don't think it will be a big problem, depending a little bit on what weather conditions and climate you are in. There's a wet palette that stays closed for weeks, will keep the moist in, but also some little heat, and you get a little bit of molding. And yeah, mold doesn't smell very nice, and a lot of mold will stink. But if you are like me, you don't want mold on your wet palette, of course, as I don't want to eat mold. At least not this kind of mold. I don't know if there are edible molds. Well, in fact, all molds are edible, only not healthy edible, so don't eat mold. Oh, yeah, and I'm talking about a wet palette, but she was also talking about brush care, and luckily she has a professional commission painter and YouTube channel. YouTuber, I should say, in this case. She also committed, said that her brush care should be a lot better than she normally does. But I guess she is painting almost on a daily basis. I haven't painted since last Saturday during stream. That's why these are still not painted. Still trying to get out a little bit of a, how do you see, how do you say that? A little bit of a pit. Let's call it that. It was a little bit down, still not completely up. That's why I took the other job, just to get out of what I was doing. But I have already figured out that one of my main problems at this moment, yay, I'm a little bit overwhelmed by my own wall of plastic, wall of shame, of whatever you want to call it. It is a little bit, yeah, putting me down. And of course, if you then don't like painting for a while, then the pile only, yeah, stares at you. And you have something like, I should have been painting. How is it called? A vicious? No, not a downward circle, or twirl, or whatever, a vortex. Because you didn't paint. Oh, but I still have more and more gray. I also still want to do a lot of stuff. I want to go building again. I want to do some trying out some new techniques I have seen. But I also want to paint a lot of older minis. It's all a little bit getting, and all the nice stuff that is going on in the world with the war in Ukraine. And one of the things I have given up is following the news. I don't watch the news. I don't watch any programs about the news. To be honest, I barely even watch television anymore. It's a little bit too depressing. But yeah, when I'm at work, there is always, the radio is on. There's a lot of, and then, oh yeah, the gas prices are going up, and in this case, not only for the gasoline prices, but also for household gas. And 5 seconds later, there's a message, no, it's not so bad, and no problem, and the gas prices are already going down. And then you get an email from your provider. Yes, the prices are going up, and apparently you are only to change once a year or something, which is still a little bit weird to me. I mean, I buy their gas and electricity. I'm not able to change whenever I want, when somebody gets me cheaper gas and electricity. Okay, yeah. I still have to see how the prices are developing right now. But yeah, a lot of bad stuff in the world. I get it stuck in my head. And when I come home, I am too tired to paint. I don't like anything anymore. The normal, yeah, it's not a real depression. I can tell you. It's, but in the 90s we did call it I'm a little bit depressed, but that's more like I am just a little bit down. And that's right now what's going on with me. But to be honest, just talking to nobody, thin air, yep. And painting, not a very big problem. It's even quite relaxing, I must say. That was the bones. These I will highlight not with a much lighter blue and almost going to a white. These I will give a wash of course, Agrax Earthshade. One of the most famous and well used washes. Oh, I don't need that much, okay. And while I'm painting, I am still thinking about changing some stuff to get this free. Yep, I'm always changing everything around until I cannot find anything that I need or something like that. The teeth. There's not very much detail in all these, yeah, thorns, bones. But with the wash, they get just that little bit of different color. Especially the bigger ones do have a little bit of more detail in it. I also have some one. Yeah, we do the brown one also. Oh, these, by the way, are minis from the, is the Blacklist? Yeah, Blacklist miniatures from their Fantasy Series 1 Kickstarter. Even though I do not, oh yeah, I had forgotten almost. The here has some teeth up there that I forgot to paint apparently. Was a real sweet deal with a lot of monster minis or enemies for D&D games, but also a whole lot NPCs or PC minis even. A lot of nice races to play. Especially for people who do, if you like a lot of minis at once for a very small price. That was a really great Kickstarter. Have to forget to give those teeth a wash. I'll do that after that. Purple worm. I have thought to give the purple worm more of a reddish. Spikes, bones, horns, whatever you want to call them. Which would, I think, be quite nice. We wanted to keep this one a little bit just simpler, because when I am going to make them red, I want to make them really fiery, so I need to get to wet blending, and they are a little bit too small for my taste to really wet blend. See, I have the teeth on the front. The lower teeth on the front are good. We've got the top part of the teeth it's a little bit better. So that one we also have to do a little bit later. Let them dry. Maybe this one is not. It also have really small spots. Small spots. They are already dry. This weather. Then I guess that even these are already dried. And even if they are not, I don't see a big difference right now. And every time I look at one of those, I'm still trying to find some eyes. Somehow I have, because this look a little bit like eyebrows. And I even have something like, hey, this could also be an eye, but then why isn't there anything here? So yes, I have decided to give them no eyes. The blue one, if we use a white, I haven't shaken that one up. Okay, yes. Yes, not bone, I can put back. So I will use a little bit of white. In this case, the purity white from scale 75, scale color. Yes, keep your tips of your bottles clean. That's the big brush again to get them a little bit the blue and the white mixed. Already a little bit. Only coffee will not work anymore. Get a little bit more white in there. And I will take a smaller brush. This. And you want to leave a few parts darker blue. It's almost like an edge highlighting, only quite thick. That's why I had my paper over there. Nice that you can see the white bottle, but you want to see the mini, of course. A little bit more white, I see. But it rises up quite dark, or at least darker than I thought. We'll repeat this in a moment with pure white. Try to get a little bit thinner lines. You'll get a little bit the effect that the tips are a little bit whiter than the body of the bones. So I'm completely off camera. It's because I am moving my brush with quite thin paint towards there, and always where the brush leaves the mini, pull a little bit of the paint towards that point, especially with glazes. It's a technique something you can use to your advantage when you are glazing. White. All of these. All a little bit like triangles, or several triangles together. And just follow the legs of the triangle, I would say. Well, if you are thinking about pyramids, only the sharp sides of the angles of the pyramids, pyramid. This one are also quite visible on the back. I have to make sure that my didn't paint this blue. That's not a very big problem with those two. If I just now they look blue, these small kind of errors. Just with a simple highlight, they still look quite the same. I have put some sand and PVA glue in these bottles. Sometimes they... Oh, can you hear that? I don't know, but there's still a little bit loose sand in there. I don't want it to be all loose sand, because if I'm holding it like this, the weight shifts. And that's something I don't like. I always want to have it the same weight on the bottom. Don't know if that is something other people have too, but if I tilting this model, I don't want to feel to change the weight also. Just I didn't clean the brush, and I thought the white would be white enough, but no, it's still quite bluish, and I want it to be a complete white. Instead of doing the whole line, only the start about halfway to the point. These I do only the points, they are so small. And while I'm doing this, I do have something like this. I think it still would be look cool on the purple one to do it, to still do them in red and orange. It gives the model just a little bit more color. Now with the gray and brown, it's already sorry, different color. Yes, I have decided I will make them red and orange. And if I don't like it afterwards, I can always paint over it. Maybe, as you know, I have been to a little convention here in the Netherlands. And I have bought myself some old Space Marines, very old Space Marines. Nowadays they would be called the 30K, I believe 30K Space Marines. And I have seen some people paint the new 30K models, which look quite similar, only much more detailed. And they immediately gave me an idea about I want to paint them too. So it is quite possible that in the near future, maybe but then I have, as I said, a lot of ideas always, and especially now my setup here is a little bit more modular. I could take certain parts away quite easily now if I needed more room. For example, I am still thinking about building houses and stuff from XPS foam. But then well, the first ones I would make quite simple with just with a knife and some other tools. But when I would go further with it, then I would need my hot wire cutter, and that's quite a big machine. So I would need that room, which could be fairly nice staying next to me. But that's an idea I am just working with. And as I said, those are drying. I do think the blue, the light blue and white, it gives it just a little bit more of that bright color that a model needs. It's not really, oh, I forgot these ones, oh well. As they are quite small, they are not, it's not that bright. It does not stand out that much. Back parts of these, I did the front but not the back. A big one also. Mainly the tips are enough. Yeah, it does at least give it a little bit more color. And we are doing white. Yeah. Still have a little bit of white on my palette, and I have a little bit of the North Bone that I will mix in. Even a little bit more white. See how this looks on the teeth. Just a little bit on the tips. Because it will be used quite good. Doesn't make a big difference, but in my eyes, just enough. The teeth, the purple one also, because those will stay bone colored. But the rest we will change a little bit. See to find a nice red and orange color. First, let's see if we can get the we are now painting with this. We can also highlight the rest of the bones. Maybe the tips, and if there is a little bit of a little edge to it, like that one too. Get the back side, and that one's is more. Yes, I do still love that word, more. Thank you, Matthew Mercer. I have said it before and I will keep saying it. One of the things he repeated a little bit too often, but I, especially with, oh, come on, this is a word, these are worms. So they don't have mouth, they have maws. I'll go with a little bit of, I'm going to experiment a little bit more with edge highlighting, just a little bit extra. I'm afraid it's a little bit too much. I want a little bit more color on the highest parts, a little bit of the gives just that little bit of extra. You don't need to do every little wrinkle, but that's good enough for me. This one. Bones and teeth. Of course, you can completely leave this out, as it is already quite bony colored. Always like to do just that little bit extra. It's also good practice of painting those little stuff. And with 3 of these, it's just enough of some practice. It would take a little bit longer, then I would get indeed a little bit bored of it. Which would not look very nice on a model, because I would stop halfway and leave a lot of unfinished and have enough stuff, and then I have more stuff for my finally finished Friday pile to finish another day. If the bones would be larger, all like this, I would give it a little bit more detailing. And a nice tip of white. Give those two also. Those get a little bit of white, and these also, and there we go again. Almost done. As I said, the purple one needs also a little bit of color. Needs also a little bit of color. Now I have some really great red and orange. Let's see, what is this? Heraldic red from Oliva. To start with, and I don't really need an orange, because I can better use a yellow. What is this kind of lantern? Oh, lantern yellow, why not? It's not the brightest yellow, it's almost an orange. This is the brightest yellow I have. Lemon, I believe. Lemon yellow, yay. This is also not the darkest red I have. Brilliant. Brilliant red. I do also a magma red. Now I have to say magma red is a little bit lighter. And yeah, it's also the cap is not is black, so it makes it a little bit darker, but I'm going for magma red. Why? Because I want it to be a little bit fierce. And yes, thanks to the fan and the heat, of course, my paper is drying out. Where this one of the points is sticking over the sponge, so it gets to dry out on both sides. Still haven't gotten the whole thing completely in the right size. Yes, pokey stick. For those who do not know, yes, they make Reaper makes a tool to get
blacker than the deepest night, more bitter
Hello,
than the fires
Pete.
of hell itself.
How are you doing?
Is coffee.
Yes, very good. Coffee. And hydrate also. There is the camera.
Hydrate,
thank you, Pete.
But all I have is coffee.
Coming. And you're not too bad. Okay. That's not too bad to hear, but it could be better. So, is Pete still at work? Already doing some hobby stuff? Or just chilling? And painting a pink flights. Okay. Yeah, well. I am painting a purple one where also is his belly is pink. And I have decided to not make all the bones bony. But to make them more of a red-orange. Just to see if it looks any better. As it's the purple and pink are really nice. But I think it can do a little bit better. And has Pete any plans for this weekend? Oh, ooh. Sorry. Yes. I do know that tomorrow I will be doing not very much. In the morning I hope to paint a little bit. But especially in the afternoon and in the evening I will have to paint, as I will be streaming. But it's going to be a hot day tomorrow. Especially in the afternoon I will not be sitting here. I should be more careful with my paint and the brush. before I get more brushes with paint in the ferrule. And you are painting a pink flight suit. Is that a Gibbs Workshop model? The red does indeed look better than just the bones color. Now I hope right there, that I can make the orangey yellow, give it at least a little bit of a fiery look. Somehow I have that in my head. I also don't want it to use white, because then I would get again pink, which is of course no problem to Pete, would be even better. I know Pete, but I have already used pink on the belly. So I have decided to paint it more orange. Very light orange. Very thin colored, I see. You'll have to do 2 coats at least. And try to stay on camera as always. Still have to make my new target, although this new thing does help a little bit. Orange is showing enough. That's good. I thought it would be quite, yeah, not really visible, but shows up better than I thought. Can get this. Backside, I think it is quite, at least it looks quite as I want it. So mission accomplished. I don't need another color, maybe that one. I can use another pure yellow. There you go. This looks in. I'm glad I changed my mind. This looks much better than just the bone color. It means that I have finished except for the base. You know what? As it is such a fierce model, let's see if we can get his mouth also a little bit highlighted with the yellow. Just a little bit. A little bit of white in there. Blending. Bit of pure. Let's see if we can get some pure white in there. Oh, too much. A little bit of good enough. That's a nice shiny glow inside. All the bony parts have turned into quite hot. I can even make it a little bit hotter. A little bit of white to the yellow. Just a little bit of very bright yellow on the tips. Makes it even just that little bit. Makes it just glowy enough. For the bases, I'm a little bit lazy. This one needs a different one, as it is the Arctic worm. That's a little bit of coffee. So that one will get a more snowy one. The rest will all get a normal brown, I think. Indeed. If I make the large rocks, I will make gray. And I will use my new ground texture formula on the rest. And we do have a nice stone, no, not Tempest, then it is the darker one, Mountain Stone, gray. From MSP. Just for the stonework. Use a slightly bigger brush. Just to make them a dark gray. And in my old age, I am getting a little bit tired of always painting the bases, especially for these small minis. So I have, oh, there's another big rock. Yeah, that one. And mainly just putting PVA glue on the base, some little bit of small sand, waiting for it to dry, and then paint the sand. I have been experimenting with something from Woodland Scenics. It's an American company that sells a whole lot of stuff, also for making bases, but mainly also for dioramas and nature-based play boards and that kind of stuff. And I have been playing with the brown and gray ballast, as they call it, which is some kind of cork, but they call it, and they have it in different, apparently in 3 different sizes, as I have the medium and the small. But for these minis, that is quite nice. Especially the small is just like a little bit like, yeah, pebble or not too fine sand. Before I talk any further, let's get it. What I am talking about? Where are you? Yep. Yes, here we have it. It looks a little bit like this. So this is the medium ballast. So a gray and a little bit of the brown. And I have put a little bit of very small, a little bit of lighter colored sawdust in there. And I'm going to use that, so I can just use PVA glue, put that on, let it dry, and I don't do anything else with it. Let's see if we can get this nice icy touch. So we'll start with the blue, with the ice blue I used for the spines also. I'm going to blend in a little bit of the white. Not really at regular intervals, but trying to keep on the highest points. Like just dabbing on a little bit of the white. Trying to keep the dark blue in the darkest recesses. This is going to be a quite thick mixture. But it's not a big problem. Yes. While this is drying, I also will use the rest of the bluish white to do the rest of the base. And just, if I want to use snow on it, it is quite nice if it is already a white undercoat. Well, this is not completely white, but at least white enough for me. More white over here. And if this is dry, I will get my little snow out. This is also very dry, so I use a little bit of the white. A little bit more white. In fact, just highlight away on the rocks. In fact, the same what I did with, normally you could dry brush it. But the problem is I have already painted the mini. So with dry brushing I will get certainly some of the highlight colors on the mini, something I don't want. So I am just doing it literally by hand. And making sure that everything is not completely dry before I add the white. It will not look as good as with a dry brush. So sorry for that. I do need a little bit of the white. But this white is all blue now. I can also make 3 tones of gray. Good. A little bit of lighter what. One. Using a little bit of technique, yeah. It's more wet brushing than dry brushing. And it looks also a little bit like edge highlighting. Trying only to reach, especially when now I'm using white. Only using the color, almost pure color white, and just a little bit of the gray in it. And back to the a little bit darker gray. What I am going to do later with this is I will give the stone work black wash. So all the white patches and gray patches and dark gray patches will merge a little bit more. That's why I didn't want to dry brush also. Just giving it a little bit of the, should be good enough. This one can use a little bit more white. In certain parts. To imitate dry brushing, you can also use a little bit of stippling, or whatever you want to call it. Just making very small spots everywhere. Just enough to give it a bit of a highlight. That can dry. Those are quite, they are already quite drying, but not quite dry yet. I will use this time for get this a little bit more highlighted. The paint is so thick, it is literally running down the sides of the stones, which gives, by the way, a nice wet blend effect. But I want the top and corners, of course, quite light. This one, I, by the way, will not use a wash over it, as I don't have a blue wash. Am I lying? I am lying. I do have a blue wash, but it's too dark. Yeah, I do have the Games Workshop blue wash. While that is all drying, I have still 2 troglodytes. Ooh, this is a Wilson and Newton. Okay. I sometimes do not even know what kind of brushes I have. Pete, I'll give you a free hydrate. I have 2 troglodytes, these 2 beauties. I need to dry brush them. And one of the tips I can give you, especially if you are starting with painting, make notes, especially for the paints you are using. I have completely forgotten what paints I used for these 2. Luckily, I did know that I used a bluish one because I thought troglodytes are sea creatures. Nope, they are cave creatures. So, but hey, this is a nice gray blue that I used on it. Dry brush. I won't take off too much of the paint and just go over it from top to bottom in all parts. And there are the details. It is the first dry brush. I do not wipe off really much of the paint. But I, of course, want this to be much brighter, and especially on the chest, as this one also has a very nice light chest. I want to make the chest part a little bit. I do need white indeed. Quite much lighter than the rest. But for now, I will use. I just added a little bit of white, which is great. Now, this model can use a little bit of different color in it. We have the whole mouth to do. That's also something that we can. There's nice eyes that I will paint red. Yes, somehow I always think that this kind of type of monsters only have red eyes. Although They are too small. Otherwise, I do have red on my palette, so that's great. I could use, of course, some kind of yellow, but then I think, as these are really very small eyes. I will give a close up in a moment. This is what I mean with giving it a little bit of extra lighter color to the chest part. And I will use a little bit of the blue for the head. I have the light ice blue still here. I want to give especially the face and the head a little bit of extras. Just so it's not all too white. And I'm thinking of it. Maybe it's even better to use the light blue in. Yeah. It has some spikes protruding, and as I said, it needs a little bit of extra color. So yes, I will use this very light blue after I have dry brushed the green one. For the blue one I used the Badab black, but it's called null oil, I believe, nowadays. I still have the old one, or older one. That was called Badab black. Badab black. Badab badang. Yeah, I'm very musical, I know. Good. So I used the black wash for this one. For the green one I did use the brown wash. This brown is a little bit closer to green. I could have used the black wash, but then it would be too dark. So that's why I used the brown wash. I have to watch out a little bit with dry brushing with this one, that I do not dry brush too much of the chest part. Oops. That I count it as a number 2. Especially with this, I am highlighting it, but mainly to get the more of the details out, which means I'm not really trying to get a highlight as in see where the light comes from. This highlight is literally just for getting all those great details of the whole mini out. In a moment I will add a lighter green, but not that green. We use Grave Gloom. No. I'm not going to use Grave Gloom. I am going to use Spring Green as a to highlight the green. I could use yellow or white, but both have the problem that they make the green less green. The white will really look like a chalky white, and the yellow will make it look more yellow. And that's something I don't want. I did use that technique, both techniques for goblins, especially to make the goblin look old or just or at least younger. For the older goblins I always used white, and then it gave him a little bit older look. And for the normal goblins or younger goblins I used yellow to make the highlights. At least that makes sense for me. Made sense for me. Before I start with that highlight, I need a little bit more hydration. Good, I can see the sun is almost going down. So when I end the stream, I can open my window. Yay! Cheers! So, just to make sure, this is the base color, and this I'm going to use for the dry brush highlights. It is almost the same color as Alien Goo, just not that. I do have, by the way, Toxic Waste Green. It's even lighter. Okay, good to know. So I will mix the darker green a little bit with the lighter green. This is still not the highlight I'm going to use to see where the light comes from, but just to indeed highlight all the details of the model so they come out a little bit more. And this was with the blue one. I mean, if I have used another the bright blue colors for the spines that come out, I will have to do something like with this model. Although I do think that greens itself would be not really great for that. You can see the, whoops, if I stay on camera you can see all the details are coming nice. Let's get a little bit of a close. Oh, there we have a nice close-up. Look at that. Now I am going to add a little bit of yellow and white. Yes, I will combine them a little bit. Because then now a little bit more white. Dust off my brush fat. Now I'm going to give them at least the highlight from the light is coming from above. It's not white enough. This white. Just because this is the highlight that will give. This is. It needs still a little bit of green in it. It is indeed almost. But just because it is the light is coming from this side, this should be almost. And there we go. This is where the light coming from above. see, I do indeed only on the top. Now, I will use that same color. No, I will add a little bit more yellow. With a little bit of green in it for the chests. It doesn't need any more. Sorry that I have to say it. Inside of the hands normally is also a little bit. You know what? I'll use a little bit more yellow even. Inside of the hands is also normally a little bit different in color. I'm thinking about those spines. Let's get organized and put that one back. So I will use that very bright blue that I also use for the, well, let's just first start with that and see how everything looks. So this is the boom, 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 boom. Sky blue. A little bit lighter than, what is it? Dragon blue. Just on those spines that are coming out. Paint it all a little bit. I could indeed use a very different color. Give it even a little bit more, yeah, you almost say contrast, but I think if I make these this bluish, it will already be quite yeah. No, it will be enough. If they are cave dwellers, they should not. Oh, those kind of runes. I almost thought that he has runes on his arm over there. You see, but no. Luckily, otherwise I would have seen if I could paint them in a different, completely different color. That one. While I am painting this one, I am as they are cave dwellers. I'm now thinking maybe I am using the wrong color for both. Maybe I should go for a more fluorescent. Oh, well, from this side it already looks quite nice. Quite nice. the inside of the mouth, I will start painting white. Because I want to do that one just like all the monsters I do. Uh-oh, no white on the mouth. And that goes for the green one too. I'm going to use the speed paint. Fire Giant Orange. I have used it often enough. I should know the name by now. Fire Giant Orange. Yay! Yep. We'll leave that one over here. I'm not sure about this fluorescent blue. That will work. There's only one way. There's only one way to find out. Try it out. And I will take the fluor green also. I do shade the scale color colors also very good, especially if I haven't used them for a while. They are always a little bit thicker than the MPS paints and MSP paints. MSP paints, sorry. So they always need a little bit extra shaking. Now I will start with the blue just to see how it looks. It looks quite dark, but then we can always add a little bit of white to it. Let's just try it out. This paint I specially bought for Scroom Timber. Or this September, when I paint my mushroom men and ladies. And I am thinking about to keeping that. So in September I will be painting nicely colorful mushrooms, shrooms, myconets, and it's also one of the things I was thinking about to maybe even do that with all the months of the year. Give every month of the year some kind of theme. And along that theme I will paint the minis. I do know, like for example, Muse's Touch says that May is mermaid. Mermaid, so you should paint a mermaid or something. Now I will translate that. I will paint aquatic things like mermaids, but as I also have from Bones 5 Deep Depth expansion, but I also have the almost the whole crew from Gatsy. That's from Reaper, a bunch of undead pirates. That blue is not even so bad. can I get it still that nice fluorescent if I add a little bit of white? I don't know. No, that's why I'm going to try it. Oh, okay. And of course, if I am going to do something like that, then I will also add a I should call it a science fiction month, something like that. I'm still working on it, and I will not say that I will start this year or next year or something with it, but it is an idea I am playing with. Because I also have some Space Marines to paint and other things. Don't really see the fluor color anymore in this. It is possible that I should have made the highlights first and then the color over it, but we can check that. When I now add looks nice, not just not. I will add a little bit of pure white in a moment. I'm going to try for the green one first. Should I? Let's see how the worms are. That is all dry. That of course is a great thing when you are when it is quite hot weather. The paint dries even faster than normal, which can be good. Then these are also, yes, those are all, I will take them off the holder, because now let's get some basing done. Get the, this is not anything like green stuff, or sorry, blue stuff or blue tack or whatever. This is yeah, I don't even know if it is. It's a pencil eraser only. You can need it in all kinds of forms, and it is quite sticky, so also quite good for models. Only you don't need to you don't put the models on too long. Good, basing. I have a special. Where are you? I have a special. Yeah. Over here. Nice. Oh, let's get a little bit of a wider view. Whee! There we are. With the whole. Good. I already told you about my own experimental basing material. Yeah, better to do that one first, because the snow I am going to use is just like static grass and will stick to anything or everything, or it is always there. We have. Never ever throw your blister packs away, or well, at least not all of them. You can see I've been using this one quite a while. He's almost half full. Still using it for only PVA glue, sometimes with a little bit of color in it. And that is what I'm doing wrong right now. It is going to dry very fast. Where is my nut brown? over here. I could use a little bit of the brown into the PVA glue. I could. But if you put this mixture over black or any other color, it's yeah, it looks a little bit weird. So I am going to use it on a brown underground. That is my very, very special old cheap brush. A little bit of nut brown. Don't need very much. There's only a few bases. Just going, watch out that I don't touch the mini too much. Now I have to keep my model a little bit in a different place. Everything that I'm now painting brown, I will also put PVA glue over it. It doesn't need to be very neat, as it will all be covered with the brown sand mixture I have. That's one, and I do hope indeed that it will dry as fast as I hope it will, of course. I hope it will. Yeah, it's getting late. Let's see. 3 o'clock. It's 6, 7 hours. 7. Oh, I've been up for 19 hours now. Nice. So sorry if I am a little bit tired. And talk a little bit weirder than normal. When I was home quite early, and I did try to get a 2-hour sleep, which didn't work. It was much too bright, and at that moment I was still not tired enough, of course. I'm going to, if those are going to dry, I'm going to use one time I'm going to use one little layer of white on the Arctic. Oh, I always forget this one is a little bit thicker. Where do I have my... Oh, over there. So, sorry. It's a special Vallejo paint called a foundation. And I don't know which one was first. Because Games Workshop did something similar. It's paint with extra pigments in it to give it a little bit extra coverage. And I do know that Vallejo called them foundations. Well, of course, Games Workshop did have their own name for it, but not completely sure what it was. I'm going to use a little bit of the... Okay. Let's see how it comes out. I wanted to give the stones a little bit of a wash. maybe we can do it later. The good part about batch painting is you can do a lot of minis at once. Or at once, but after the time. So you have in a lesser time more minis painted. But then they all have to be about the same colors, which these are not all. Yes, let's throw that one aside. Let's see if we yeah, let's use the green. Now I have to, you know what, let's keep the mini over here. Oh, he's very, very far away. Whee! Whoops, oh yeah, of course, now I don't use right, yeah, that one feature that auto corrects this. I have it set to a certain distance, so yeah, sorry, I cannot get it any closer right now. But you can still see what I am doing. For the green, I already thought so, because I have used the green more than the blue. I did know that the fluorescent green would look good. I already knew that on this dark. You'll need a little more, a few more coats. But it will look good on this model. The blue one, it's because it's quite darker. It looks quite dark. I will have to try to see if I need to add some white to it, but then I think the neonness of the color. Or maybe it's just the rest of the model is just too dark and too grayish. That could also be the problem, of course. So I have to find a way to still make it look good. And I really want to get that blue out. Oh, let's get the back side. And this is also, those fluor colors are really great colors for highlighting the original colors. That is how I thought of don't use white or yellow for highlighting green, but use a lighter green to highlight green. As it stays more green. And can I get a little bit closer? Look at that. For the green, it looks great. The blue I have to work on, but I think I will, as it is like this right now. Where are we? Over here. It already looks good, but it's not as bright as I want to. So I think I will just highlight this with the Arctic blue and some white. And then go over it once more with the fluor color. Let's see, is this it doesn't need to, as I am basing and I'm using PVA glue, it doesn't need to be completely dry, the brown. I do use a nice little, you can use a Tupperware box or whatever. This is from a candy box, from Candy. Those who, it's Ferrero Rocher. If you want to know. It's no problem if you drop all your minis. Counter is going up again. Oh my god, it has already been 2 hours. Oh no. I'm going to base these anyhow. Why not? Let's finish that. So it's no problem if the brown is still not dry yet, as long as you use the PVA glue to mix it a little bit. If you put the mixture on, and in this case you can shake it a little bit and just, and as this is not sand, so it's quite light, I will leave this for the whole night. Normally with sand it is a little bit heavier, it will sink a little bit better into the PVA glue. Then normally after 10 minutes I will drop the mini again. Come on. No, I will, after 10 minutes normally with sand, I will already dust shake the rest of the sand off. But as I said, this is quite light. Make sure I get a quite nice thick layer on it and set the model aside for the whole night. The last one for this mixture. I must say I have no idea how the white will look in a moment, but we will see. The white, the snow. I have not used it very much. The brush. Now this is, as I said, a very cheap brush that I mainly use for a lot of basing, especially PVA glue. This can now, yeah, over there. What I'm now going to do with the snow, where do we have it? It's over here. Yes, there we have it. The very expensive Games Workshop snow. It's in fact very small static grass, only white. And as I said, watch out with it, because it will stick to almost everything as it is static grass. So I will use a paper towel for this. I will use the same PVA glue. Also, this white paint is still not completely dried, which is not a big problem. Yes, that's another one. Yay, number 5. Biggest problem with this is that I wanted the snow only to attach to the glue to the top and not to the edge of the base, or this part. So I will go with my thumb around it to make sure not only once, but make it a little bit wet. And second time, so I don't have any glue on the side. And the same as with the stone, only like that. And also that I will leave for at least a few minutes. And that will be the whole basing of the worms. I will post pictures, because I will also the side of the base I will paint black again. That's just one of my things, and not only mine, but a lot of mini painters like those edges black. And that has been my finally finished Friday. So I wish you all a very great weekend. Have a lot of hobby stuff going around. Enjoy friends, family, whatever you are doing. And keep the paints flowing and your brushes sharp. Till next time. Thank you.